Today is a special day as we take a look at the brand new Yamaha Aventage RX-A8A AV receiver, and we're going to check it out right after the jump. And I am back. What is up, Techno fam? Hope you guys are having a great day. First things first, I want to thank all my patrons on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. You rock. We're at like 160 strong, and we're just going to keep on rising. I don't even know if that's a song. Anyway, I've got some cool new patron goodies on the way, so sit tight and make sure you adhere to the download schedule so we don't hit that daily 4 terabyte limit like we have been a few times in the last couple of months. If you want to become a patron and have access to all the little patron goodies, make sure you check out the link down in the description and become a patron at the $5 level today. All right, enough of all this nonsense. Let's get in there and open up Yamaha's brand new flagship AV receiver, the A8A. First thing I noticed is the weight of the box. It is pretty heavy. It's like around 60 pounds, I think, just underneath that. And the first thing I see as I open the box is the remote control, which has a rubberized face for a good grip on all of the buttons. We have batteries for the remote, 2-prong IEC cable, AM and FM antennas, YPOW calibration microphone, 3-headed YPOW boomerang, and some literature. Getting the A8A out of the box is a little challenging, and the box did kind of break at a corner, which is not the best thing, but hey, you know, these kind of things happen. The Yamaha RX-A8A is an AVR that processes and powers 11 channels with power rated at 150 watts per channel into 8 ohms full bandwidth with 2 channels driven, and comes in at $3,000. The A8A supports Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and Auro 3D, which will come in a later firmware update. As for HDR pass-through, the Yamaha will support HDR10, HDR10 Plus, and Dolby Vision. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering if the A8A will support 4K 120Hz HDR, along with gaming features such as VRR, variable refresh rate, ALLM, auto low latency mode, and eARC, or enhanced audio return channel. And the answer to that is yes, but they'll be coming in a firmware update down the line. Now, at this point, you're probably like, well, Techno Dad, why did you go out and buy such an AV receiver if it's not, you know, 100% functional? Well, basically, I was pretty excited to hear that the A6A, which is a step down from this, and the A8A, this one we're talking about here, which is actually right here underneath all of the little lights there. The A8A and the A6A are going to be getting an Auro 3D update, and you guys know how much I love that Auro 3D. And since I have a whole bunch of native Auro 3D content, I also have a PS5 and an Xbox Series X here at the house. I can test all of these things, so be sure you subscribe up and hit the bell to get notified, because I will be making more videos as these updates are released, and, you know, make sure that all these functions work once the updates come out, because I know there are a lot of Yamaha fans out there, and you guys need to know if all this stuff works before you plunk down this kind of dough. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you're subscribed up. All right, let's check out the front panel and the rear panel of the A8A. On the front, at the very bottom, we have a power button, a USB port, YPOW mic input, and a 1/4-inch headphone output. In the center, we have a large volume knob, which has been a hotly contested design choice by Yamaha. Some love it, some hate it. Me, I could care less. The one thing I really hate about it is the whole glossy black front. Fingerprint magnet. It sucks. I hate that. I hate it. On the right of the big knob is an LED display that's well hidden when the unit is turned off, but totally visible when the unit is on. Below that, we have 4 quick select buttons, and on the far right, we have a smaller knob that handles functions like scrolling through the menu and making selections and backing out. The rear panel, like most Yamaha AVRs, are laid out with a simple, non-cluttered design, which I totally like. Along the bottom, we have 13 binding posts for your 7.1.4 Dolby Atmos and DTS:X setup. Why 13? Well, we'll talk about that when we do the Atmos setup and run through all the little configurations that this AVR can do, so just sit tight. Just above the binding posts, we have a pre-out section in the center, which has RCA outputs for 11 speakers and 2 subwoofers, along with Zone 2 and Zone 3 stereo outputs. Above the RCA pre-out section is the XLR pre-out for the main left and right speakers, along with an XLR input for devices like an Oppo 205 or Revon X200 or Panasonic UB9000. To the right, we have 2 trigger outputs for external devices and a remote in and out. On the left side of the unit, we have a spot for the AM and FM antennas, 3 audio inputs, analog and digital, and 3 video inputs, including both composite and component video inputs. Across the very top, we have 7 HDMI inputs and 3 HDMI outputs. These are all supposed to be HDMI 2.1 ports and should be able to support 4K 120Hz HDR gaming. So I will test that out and make sure all of that is happening once the update occurs. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe up. And on the far right, we have the Ethernet and power port. All right, now that we've taken a look at this beast, let's fire it up and jump into the menu to see exactly how we can set up, or how many different ways we can set this bad boy up. Here we are in the setup menu for the Yamaha A8A. Let's just jump into speaker. And as you can see here, we have a speaker pattern. This is pattern number 1, and we can change that to 2 or 3 or 4. So we've got 4 settings. So if you wanted to do like a full-on Atmos, you can do that for pattern 1. 2 channel, you can do that for pattern 2 and just go through the different situations. All right, so let's go down to power amp assign. And here we have a basic layout with 11 channels, and then it looks like the pre-out max is 11 channels. Extra speaker 1 is for your front height. They call it presence here. Extra speaker 2 is your rear height, and external amp says none, so that might control the trigger. On the left-hand side, you've got all the different types of configurations we can do. So here's 7.1.4 plus a zone 2. So extra speaker 3 is going to be plugged into zone 2, and then it'll switch automatically from your rear heights to your extra speaker zone 2 when you have zone 2 activated, right? So you see at the bottom in the right corner, it says select automatically with the orange and the purple. So the AVR is going to go back and forth depending on what it is you are doing. So if you're running zone 2, then it's going to switch to zone 2 and remove your rear heights from the main room. All right, so here we have 7.2.2 zone 2. Oh, whoops. Let's start that section again. All right, so here we have 7.2.2 plus 2 zones. So you have surround backs that will be used for zone 3 if you are using zone 3. Zone 2 is already taken out of the equation. And so basically what this is saying is you can either run it 7.2.2 with zone 2 or 5.2.2 with zone 2 and zone 3, of which the AVR will select automatically. 7.2 plus 2 zones. So with this, you will have a 7.2 setup and no high channels, but you're gonna have zone 2 and zone 3 connected to where you would normally have your high channels. Remember, extra speaker 1 and extra speaker 2 were the presence channels, but now those are zone 2 and zone 3. Moving on, we've got 5.2 plus 2 zone. So now we've got 2 speakers in zone 2, 2 sets of speakers in zone 2, I'm sorry, and 1 set of speakers in zone 3, and then you got a 5.2 in your main room. So if you wanted to do some sort of whole home, yeah, you can. Now here in this section, 7.2.4 external front plus zone 1, we can have an external amp for your front speakers, and we can have zone 2 connected up to the extra speaker 3 binding post on the back of the AVR. And then you're going to be running 7.2.4. So that's a nice little situation there for those that need it. 7.2.2 bi amp. So you're going to be using the binding post from extra speaker 3 as your bi amp channels for your main speakers, along with, of course, the main speakers as well. And you're only going to be running 2 high channels. So that'll be the front presence on extra speaker 1 terminals. Here we have more options for bi-amp in a 5.2.4 situation where you are bi-amping the main channels. Here we have a 7.2.2 bi-amp plus zone 1. So you can see the extra speaker 3 is going to be your bi-amp channels, and you're going to have extra speaker 2 as your zone 2. But that will automatically swap back and forth between your surround back channels. 7.2 bi-amp plus 1 zone. Pretty self-explanatory there. And then we have 7.2 bi-amp plus 2-zone as well. So again, the AVR is going to select automatically whether you're going to be using your zone 3 or your surround back. So if you are going to, engage zone 3, you're going to lose your surround back. Now, if you want any of these things, just select it and you'll see the check mark next to it. Since we are down here in the studio, we are going to pick the basic setup because this is an 11-channel space. So we want front presence, rear presence, and 11 channels. Let's go into configuration. And here's where you would select your large or small and your crossovers. Again, this is for pattern 1. What if we were to keep pattern 1 here and go to pattern 2, back out and go down to configuration again. And let's just put that to none. Back out of here, surrounds, put that to none as well. Front presence, none. And that automatically takes away the rear presence. So right now, let's also take away both subwoofers. All right, so here we have a 2-channel setup as pattern 2. As you can see down here, there is a equalizer, and if you want to go in and manually do it, here we go. You can change, whatever their frequencies. So if we want to boost, let's boost the gain where it hurts everyone the most, 2000 to 6000 hertz. Oh, look at that thing go. So yeah, let's see. 65, can I change this? Ooh, I can change that. Let's get some big old boomy bass in like around the 50 area. Nice. There we go. So yeah, you can change a lot of this stuff here. So I'm just gonna go back and change this back down to flat. I just wanted to show you guys that you can do it and it's here. You just have to go into the manual situation. And this is just for the pattern 2, which only has a front left and front right. So if we go back to setting a pattern and go to pattern 1, you'll notice when we get back into the parametric EQ and go through manual, we have we can change for everything. So a lot of flexibility here. With this setting data copy, if you like your pattern 1 and you want to make that exactly the same as pattern 2, you can do so and then tweak everything to pattern 2. So if you run YPow on pattern 1 and you want all the YPow settings to transfer over to pattern 2, you can do a copy and then do different configurations or levels or crossovers or whatever you like to do. Let's roll into configuration. If I was going to make this for my room upstairs, I would go front large, I would go center small, surround, I would go surround back none, front present, I would go subwoofer 1, use, and this is what I would run for my setup upstairs because this mimics my setup upstairs. Here in the studio, it would have been like it was just a second ago where it's just a bunch of small speakers. Now, if we change the configuration and go into power ampersand, it'll still just have basic setup. That's what I'm going to need, basic setup. But since we told the AVR in configuration that we are not using surround backs, it will not use surround backs. So pretty self-explanatory, not the hardest thing to figure out. But if you guys have questions about the A8A, make sure you let me know down in the comments below, as I did purchase this, so it will be hanging out for a while. And yes, I'll probably compare it to the Denon that's upstairs and the audio control AVR that's on its way. I am very excited about the A8A, especially because it's going to be getting Auro 3D. So I'm curious because it does have 13 binding posts on the back, and it does process 11 channels. So are we going to get a voice of God channel? Are we going to get a voice of God channel and a center height channel? So I'm kind of curious to see exactly how Yamaha intends to implement Auro 3D on this receiver. And yeah, that's why I'm excited. I want to see what's up. I want to see what is going on. I'm excited to try out the Auro-matic up mixer as well. And of course, you guys know I like to play games, 4K 120 Hz gaming, definitely. And oh yeah, I think I have a pretty large OLED on the way as well. So I am excited to get all of this up and running once everything arrives. Anyway, a lot of cool things, a lot of big things happening on the channel. Got those Revon players, so I'm gonna see how well that works with this Yamaha, since now I've got XLR inputs to match with the XLR outputs of the Revon X200. And if you guys want to check those out, I'll put links to all of those other products and videos down in the description. Again, if you have questions, hit me up down in the comments or on social or email, whichever you like to use. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.